But if we see the bottom line of these venture capitals, simply the profitability is not there. The risk is too high. So I think with this kind of environment, we have no choice that we have to leave the market open for the global venture capitals. And for the second question, the venture capital, quote unquote, it's add value to the company, but not really to the GDP, because they acquire companies, the numbers of employment is the same, unless on the later stage that the company is not only taking the profit from the enterprise value, but using the profit or the earning from the venture capital for product developments, which they employ more. So I think that's the game of the digital economy. Currently, they value on the burn rate. If we see or we look into their balance sheets, we are not seeing the profit. We're just seeing the burn rate, which digital enterprise burn less or burn more, and who get more, quote unquote, participants. So I think this is something that we have to look as well, because if we compare China and Indonesia, it's no comparison. But we can declare that Indonesia is currently is the largest digital, quote unquote, market within ASEAN. So that's the attractiveness of Indonesia among other ASEAN countries. We have more than 80 million smartphones that being sold on yearly basis. And we have more than 200 million populations of phone, even though maybe 40 million, the phone is not yet smart. So that's the challenge, Pak. And regards to textile and robotic, I think automation and robotics is a matter of competitions. If you see the Indonesian manufacturing today in the Indonesian Detroit or Indonesian Shenzhen, Jabodetabek, most of the manufacturing is already using robotic for welding, robotics for assembly line and all that. Even food companies, one of the largest food companies in Indonesia, is already using a robotic car, for instance, to transfer one materials with others. So the robotics and the automation is already there. It's not of the government policy, but because of the competition. I think competition will drive efficiency. For the government, it's okay. They are not reducing, the robot is not reducing the number of employees. They create more employees because in the value chain, they make one area that is more efficient, which they need more people to operate and more people in others. So I think this is the policy that we would like to push. The product is competitive globally. The standard is global standard, and I think we have excellence in that. Industry 4.0 is only a process. It's only a means. It's not the result of the end product. What government is concerned is the end product, competitive, access to the market, as well as can create an employment. Thank you.
I open for another session of questions and answers or remarks on what Minister has just elaborated. Please, another one. Please, Professor Paripurna.
Selamat sore, Pak Menteri. how do you deal with challenge that in one side you are, as a minister, have to play a significant role in improving Indonesian economy in the field of industry, of course, and at the other hand, there are still many obstacles in improving this, like the slow internet, infrastructure, and then other infrastructure like transportation and other kind of infrastructure. And then there is still some high-cost economy, right? And also the power of anti-monopoly commissions that is quite low, while at the same time I found many ministers put their hope on the competition. As you see that there is still a lack of capacity between the strong economy and the weak one, and the number of low and medium enterprise is huge. They have to fight to get a small number of assets, while only small number of high economy, high enterprise have a huge number of assets to be put into their business. Thank you. Oh, my question is, how do you deal with it? I mean, is there any breakthrough? But in one side, you have to play a significant role, as you just elected as a new minister. But at the other side, there are so many obstacles, right? So
I think running in the government is just like riding in bicycle. You cannot stop. If you stop, you fell down. So you have to push harder. And I think our infrastructures in Jakarta, I think the speed is already up to, is almost the same as other big cities, including Singapore. But of course, if we average to the whole Indonesia, then the number will be different. But what we would like to do in the Ministry of Industry, we will give an extra bandwidth in the cluster of industry, especially in the small and medium enterprises. We have been discussing with Ministry of Information. So in the cluster of industry, then the bandwidth will be higher. This is initiative between the minister and also within different ministry to push for small and medium enterprises to get better access, better information, better access. And regarding the anti-monopoly commissions, I've addressed this issue with the members of the commissioner of the anti-monopoly commission. The government understand that there are some challenges in it. They are trying to do changes of the regulatory as well as the law itself. But at the moment, the situation is not as what we would like them to do. I have currently, business association can be treated as a quote unquote an issue for anti-monopoly commissions, and we understand and also I receive many reports from many industry who has been processed by this commission. So I think we can try to normalize the situations in the near future. Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Professor Paripurna, raising the issue again of regulatory anticipation of this new technological revolution. And that is also I guess, a question that is going to be always surfacing in terms of policy making. Actually, I have a question before maybe we wrap up, and that is, basically, Minister, you are saying that we are also steady as we go, yeah, on point 3, yeah? Industrialization, steady as we go. Yet, the forecast is disruption, like the issue of Uber and all of these issues. How would you anticipate that, again, as the private sector has to rally behind this particular dynamics? How would you anticipate that creating a balance, yeah, between all this disruption, in fact, going ahead of this in terms of policy making, be going ahead of the disruption, or be able to create policy that actually is leapfrogging, but yet still maintain a steady as we go industrialization? How would you be able to go about that?
I think the most sector that's affected by this disruptive phenomena is on the services sectors at the first stage before it goes into the manufacturing sectors. The manufacturing sectors is always a game of efficiency through automations or through other effort. The industry that can survive because of labor intensive also many, including in electronics, for instance, in making printer. You can't replace the people with the machines. In the garment, it's happened also. So to anticipate the change is not only regulatory, but also the business environment. So I think one that is hit most with this disruptive technology is the form of legal entity cooperation. Because the cooperations that we have, it can be replaced with the digital cooperation. So actually, we already anticipate the legal framework, but to anticipate this, other regulatory or other people also has to be ready. And the law itself has been disrupted because of the old player afraid that they cannot participate in this kind of changes. So there are people who are afraid of changes, who challenge people who are ready to changes, and they can challenge in the constitutional court. This is something that we have to anticipate as well.
And now you're in the executive branch. You were the chair of Industry and Trade in Parliament of the committee. How about from the legislative body? Are they able to prepare for this type of disruption in terms of processing regulations, anticipating all of this?
For anticipating the laws, I think the law is neutral. The law doesn't affect the operations of the business or even the innovation or the new technology. The law cannot do that. The only things that can do is the one who lose in the game. The one who suffer most will, I think, will do anything to stop this happening, using whatever law available to get it back. So I think, from my perspective, the law is neutral. The most important things is against the people, how to perceive these changes of the technologies, and whether they are ready to receive the technology, not on the workforce, but how they can adopt to the technology in their own living room. I think that's the key.
Yeah, so very good. The key is people. The people to be ready, the Indonesian people to be ready for this new challenge of digitalization, new challenge of the fourth industrial revolution, where today we discuss artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain. All of this is the people must be ready. And therefore, that is a good wrap-up, I think, of this discussion, that conclusion that it is all about the people. And so with this, we're given up to 6 o'clock to wrap up this discussion. Let's give a round of applause to Minister Airlangga Hartarto. And I give the floor back to the organizers, Mr. Shweb Kada from the Indonesia Economic Forum.
Thank you, Pak George, and thank you, Pak Airlangga, for a very valuable and very informative, very insightful session. May I please invite Mr. Patrick Tang to give away our memento, give our appreciation to Pak Airlangga. Thank you again, Pak, for your valuable time, your valuable insights. Take a photo.